Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James, and it's time for another installment of my personal games. We are now at round 5 of the Labor Day tournament. This is the last round. I'm playing for first place. I'm playing against Alfredo Garcia. Here we go. Game on. Let's do this. I just had a very, very tough round previously against Colston. So whenever Alfredo played e4 over here, I was just not up for another Sicilian. I just went pawn e6. It's time for the French. Let's bring in the B team. Let's bring in the C team. d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, e5, knight to d7, and queen g4. A very interesting move here. I believe I used to play this as a kid, but I can't say I remember it being too good. But yeah, I was a little unsure about this. It looks like the idea is to try and stop the the bishop from being developed as the g7 pawn's being attacked. And here you should just play the pawn move of c5. And unfortunately here, I was really worried about this little knight maneuver of knight b5 here. And yeah, although it does score well in the database, I don't know. I'm not too sure why. Maybe it was good I did not play the c5 move. But here, after knight b5, c takes d4 typically gets played. And the idea here is to play knight f3 with the knight jumping back to d4, or maybe even knight to d6 ideas. With that being said, knight c6 typically gets played, bishop f4, and yeah, this is actually pretty interesting here for white. And again, white has a really good win right here. Apparently, it's called the Steinitz variation of the Glendale attack. Well, I didn't know this at all, so after queen g4, I saw the knight b5 idea, and I just said, you know what, I'm not going to play for this at all, and I played a6, which is just terrible. Here, it's white to move and get a winning advantage. What do you play here? Yeah, I was so focused on this idea over here. I just played a6. I was like, you know what? I won't deal with this. And again, I was tired from the previous game. Bishop g5 is just doing good here. As after bishop e7, well, bishop takes, queen takes, and the queen takes on g7 here. And yep, you're just up an extra pawn here. And I probably will gambit another one with rook f8. I don't want to trade queens, and queen takes h7. Oof, I would not have been happy, but this is probably what I would have played. And I'm happy I did not have to play into this situation. Luckily for me, Alfredo was playing a little fast. He played knight f3. Pawn c5, bishop e3, knight c6, and castles here. Here I played pawn to b5, and then he played knight g5. An interesting idea here. It looks to me like he was wanting to play this knight takes on e6. And I was calculating for quite a while, and I just decided not to do it. But here definitely better was to play c takes d4. And if knight takes e6, f takes e6, queen takes e6 check, knight to e7, bishop takes on d4. Again, this is a position you could play. I guess I'm not very French-minded, as I did not like this. I thought that white gets a lot of good play here, and they get to have fun. And yeah, I don't like my opponents having fun. So with that being said, after knight g5, I just went ahead and played bishop b7. The whole idea is to stop knight takes e6 as far as the queen winning the knight, winning back material. And I want to keep up development. So after knight takes e6, I can actually just play the queen to e7 now. So here he went and played f4. And again, I do like the idea of taking on d4, but here I had a plan of just keeping my king in the center and just pushing my queenside pawns over here and going for the queenside attack. His king has already castled so soon, so why not? So I went ahead and played pawn b4 here, knight e2, and now this f5 move was looking a little annoying to me, so I just played a little bit of prophylactics. Pawn g6, stopping it, pawn g3, queen a5, bringing the queen over here. Of course, c4 is coming. And I don't mind if he does take on c5 as well. I have two good moves here. I can take on a2 or maybe just take on c5 with these other pieces. Of course, he's not going to let me grab this pawn for free, though. This will just help the attack out too much. King b1 got played. And now I played pawn to c4. It was at here, though, I did realize my initial idea of playing pawn c3 doesn't work out too well, as the bishop can just come back to c1 and stop the checkmating threats. We'll figure something out, I said. Bishop h3. Again, he's looking to sacrifice on e6. And again, it's a decent idea. Again, if you're not paying attention and you play something like h6, now it's knight takes e6 or f7 here. Here, computer likes the knight takes f7 line. King takes in because this knight's not only defended once. Queen takes e6, and white has just crushed through. But here, I already see the tempo. You don't go h6 here, you go pawn to h5, kicking the queen off the diagonal altogether. Now the knight takes e6 doesn't do anything. Queen went back to f3, and I played pawn b3, sacrificing to open up lines. Computer doesn't like this as much, but I'm playing against a human, and well, my human opponent makes mistakes. C takes A takes, and here he did not play A3 like I was thinking he would, which now I do have really nice ideas with, like bishop takes A3, pawn takes, queen takes, which I would not have thought too long about playing this kind of idea. And here it does show that black has a good advantage. But here we played the best move, which is pawn takes. And I was very surprised that, man, it was actually a little bit harder to attack than I thought it was. Fortunately for me, he does make a mistake defending. I played knight b4 with the simple idea of queen a2 check. And he played knight c3, and this was a mistake. Well, no, I'm sorry. This is good. If he played knight to c1, this would be a mistake, as then I could go rook c8, and then there's ideas about sacrificing. So knight c1 would have been incorrect. Knight c3 was correct. It's the next move that he makes a mistake on. Here I played rook c8 with the same idea. Rook takes on c3. But here, well, there's a new move you could play because the knight's on c1. White to move. What's the best way to defend this position? If you don't find this, well, black gets a decent attack. And unfortunately for Alfredo, he did not find this move here. You have to find the move of rook to d2, with the idea that if you do sacrifice, there's no queen a2 check because the rook just covers it. Well, this would have been a very tough move to deal with. I would, I'm always interested what would have happened if I couldn't do this. One of the things that was really bothering me was that I couldn't play my knight b6 to c4 or to a4 because the pawn on b3. So it would take quite a while for me to generate the attack again. And with that being said, white is pretty much ready to do sacrifices at some point here to start the attack. All right, unfortunately for him, he did not find the right move. He played knight a4. All right, let's bust through this. We got to get rid of this knight, so we play knight b6, rook c1, and this move is just a dud. Now it's just black winning here. You just take, rook takes, bishop takes. This actually helps me out because later on, I'm going to bring my bishop over to help the attack. Pawn takes, queen takes, and wow, this is just a very tough position here for white. All the pieces are as far away from the king as possible. And I'll challenge you now. Here he went ahead and played queen g2. Can you find a forced win here? Black to move and win. What do you play here to get a winning position? Although what I played was not the best move by computer standards, I still like my move quite a bit. At this point, it's actually very hard for white to play because, well, where do you move the pieces to? Everything you try to move to can get you checkmated. For instance, queen coming over to d2 can be very tough for them. So what do you play here? Well, queen a2 check is a way to play, and it goes into a long variation of king c1. And here it's giving pawn a5 now. There's just not enough here if you try to do the attack right away. King d2. So you can win a pawn here, but better than that, I'm going to try to play for more. Queen takes b2 check. King d1, and this is what I had all calculated. Queen b3 check. King e2. And if you try to do another check here, the king can just run to f3, and the attack's over. And a lot of the time, this really only helps them out because his pieces are ready to pivot to the side. As these guys, if they were in the game would be over. It's true that a knight and queen do a very good checkmating, but unfortunately this time was not the case. So with that being said, I did not do the queen a2 variation. I let him sweat it, and I played bishop d7. And again, like I was saying, it's just really hard to find any moves that really help your position here. For instance, let's say you go queen d2. You just got checkmated. Checkmate. Okay, is there a place I can move my rook to? Not really. Nothing that will help you out. Rook c1 just gets you checkmated in one. Rook e1. I'm not sure what this does. Actually, it cuts off your escape square. Remember, the king was running to e1. So queen a2 check, king c1. Queen a1 check, king d2. Queen takes check, king d1. And now bishop a4 comes in, and the checkmate is over. So again, just developing another piece here and keeping calm is what is called for here. If you don't have enough pieces for the attack, you don't have enough pieces. Bring in reinforcements. I mean, here the computer is saying the best move for white here is to play, gosh, pawn to b3. Just giving up an extra pawn and again trying to make trades and allow the queen to come over. I saw this, but I wasn't too concerned as queen takes b3, queen b2. My queen can just take over here on e3. If not queen d3, check variations. Anyways, with all these bad moves in mind, here he just blunders and plays queen d1, allowing checkmate in 4. At this point, I went ahead and took the rook for free, and he just went ahead and resigned here, as there's really nothing good to do. I'm not sure if I would have found the checkmate in 3 here, but maybe you can find it. Black to move and checkmate. Here, white plays bishop c1. Queen d3 check. And here, if king a1, you just play queen to c4. A nice double attack here for checkmate and 2. And you can't stop both. Pawn b3 and queen takes on c1 for checkmate. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this last installment for my personal games of the Labor Day tournament. Hopefully we see you in the next one. Looks like we got Oktoberfest coming up. I'll check you guys later. Bye.